And without any further ado, I'll get into the content. So again, this webinar is Online Courses Homepage Design. My name is Jessica Drass, and I'll be guiding you through this webinar today. I'm an online support specialist here in the Office of Distance Education. And this is going to be our basic layout for today. We're going to start by going over homepage design best practices. Then we'll move into homepage layouts. We'll review... Oh, sorry.
Can I download this presentation?
Yes, so I'm going to post this to our YouTube channel once we are complete.
Okay.
Yep. And I can send you the link to our channel, like after the session's over.
Thank you.
So then we'll move into real Westchester examples. We'll talk about widgets, which are basically the things that make up the home page. And then finally, I'll do a little construction demonstration to show you how to create widgets and then add them to your home page. So I'm going to start off by asking you a couple questions about what you currently see on the screen. This is the default homepage that'll show up on any new course that you're about to develop. So if you were to create a course without making any changes, this would be the homepage. So the first question I have is, what does this page tell students about your course?
It says it's during the winter. It says that it's going to start on the 19th of December.
Okay, yeah. So it says when it's going to start. Does it say anything else?
Well, it says today's date, things like that.
Okay.
And across the top it has course, content, assignments, quizzes, typical D2L page.
Okay, great. Yeah, so it has the navigation. It tells a little bit about when it's going to start. And that Sandbox JDRAS would be the course title, but doesn't give us too much information. Now, is the page welcoming?
No, you have to open it up to find out what's there.
No, great. Okay. Does the page orient a student towards what they should do?
No.
No. Just seeing a pattern, sort of. Does the page encourage engagement with the course?
Well, the answer is no. I mean, this is like a standard D2L page. If I ask my students to open up their D2L page, unless I tell them that you need to look under content, you need to look under quizzes, they don't.
Gotcha.
Well, they wouldn't know.
Okay, does the page establish a community of learning?
Nothing on the page wants me to jump in, if that's what you're asking.
No? Okay. And then going on with this pattern, is the page friendly and easy to navigate?
It is.
Yeah. I would say it's definitely easy to navigate. Friendly, I could debate towards the no on that one. But yeah, it definitely is like the navigation bar is there, so it's pretty straightforward to kind of click on what section you want to go to. Then going off of that, is the page overwhelming?
No, I don't think so.
No. Yeah, I think that this one's kind of underwhelming. There's not a whole lot of information there to kind of direct students what to do. So I'm going to pull up a second example. And this is actually a real-life example that a professor's used in one of their courses. Now I'm going to run through the same questions. So what does this page tell the student about the course?
Well, it tells you that it's for a doctor of public administration. It tells you, what happens each week. There's a module each week.
Yep, and it also has the, I see the professor's information down on the bottom right. There's a section for course updates, so it has a good amount of information on it. Now, is it welcoming?
I'm not exactly what welcoming is supposed to be. This gives me more information so I can look at it and I can see who's running the course and so on and so forth. Is that welcoming?
I would say so. I think like the instructor bit gives students a face to who's facilitating the course. So I'd say, like as a student, I would find that a little bit welcoming. I think that the banner at the top is visually appealing, so that gives the page a more welcoming feel rather than just kind of looking at a blank space. Um, so I would say, yeah, it is more welcoming. Um, does it orient the student towards what they should do? Tom said yes.
It actually doesn't tell them to do anything unless they click on the introduction by the professor. What does it tell them to do?
Right, but I think having the course modules there, um, it kind of, because they can see now, okay, it's week one. I think it's a little bit more intuitive to click on that week one link that'll take them to the content than to kind of have to hunt around through the navigation to find it. So I could see that. Tom, do you have anything to add to that? Any thoughts on that?
Okay, is my mic on?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. One thing, I don't know what that video on the right is about, but that's like clearly an announcement piece. So if the instructor had used that to kind of welcome people or orient them to the course, then I would definitely say yes.
Okay, awesome. Um, does the page encourage engagement with the course?
It's not that it doesn't encourage engagement. I noticed that usually when I look at something for the first time, what I'm looking for isn't a lot of content. What I'm looking for is, okay, how do I really want to get started? And
Okay.
to me, the first thing I should really open up is the introduction from the professor to give me an idea where I should go, what I should do. And so I'd like to see, I guess I would flip the course update and the course modules. I would move I would, I would change their locations. I would just swap them and really
Okay,
make
yeah,
sure that the
and
student can get into there first.
yeah, that could definitely work if, like, especially if that was an introduction video, that would be a good introduction for students to look at first and kind of give them a sense of where to go next. Um, I think that the faculty student lounge kind of encourages engagement a little bit because it kind of tells students that they can talk to their faculty member instead of it just kind of receiving information. Um, and does the page foster collaboration?
Only if it's inside the lounge.
Tom said it could. Yeah, only if it's inside the lounge. I like that it links to the lounge, but I think the page itself doesn't. There's nothing on the page that they could actually chat on this specific page, but it's great that it links to that. Um, does the page establish a community of learning?
I don't see where a community is being developed unless it's again in the lounge.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. And then, is the page friendly and easy to navigate?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it might take students a second to just figure out what the sections are, but once you got that, it's really easy to see. The course modules are separated by week. The course updates are there, and basically everything that we need to access is on that page. And is the page overwhelming? Tom said maybe a little bit. I would agree with that. I think, again, it might take students a minute to get oriented towards what is on the page, but I think once they do, it works really well, especially with the module breakdown. Okay, great. So one last thing I want to take a look at. You can see I have two home pages side by side here. One of these is from a face-to-face class, and the other is from an online course. Could you tell me which one's from the face-to-face course?
I would think the face-to-face is on the left-hand side.
Yeah, that is correct. The face-to-face is on the left-hand side. Um, but the point that I'm trying to get at is they could technically be a little bit interchangeable. So good homepage design isn't just limited to online courses, it's valuable for face-to-face as well. So all of that was getting to this best practices in course homepage design. This is listed on our website, on our Distance Ed website, which I can send you an email with after the session's over. But basically, the questions that I posed were created from this list of best practices. So provide students with a course overview, develop a homepage that welcomes and orients students, encourage engagement and collaboration with students, and establish open communication with students, establish and facilitate an online community, include a user-friendly navigation, and be careful not to be too overwhelming. So it's pretty straightforward. Going off of that, do you have any questions up to this point before I move on?
I do not.
Okay, great. So we're going to move on to our layout section. Home pages are divided into 4 components that can be edited to varying degrees, and not all components need to be edited or used. At the top, we'll have a navigation bar. This will have the course title and standard course links. However, this is editable. I would really only encourage you to edit the navigation bar if you have a really good instructional reason, because it messes with student consistency. But if there's something that you wanted to edit, maybe if there was a section that you didn't use in your course, you could certainly take that off of your navigation bar. The header is a widget that goes across the top of the page. This is usually used for a banner. However, sometimes announcements or a welcome will be placed in this section as well. The body is where most of the homepage work is done. And there's a few different layouts options with this, which we'll go over in the next slide. But you can see in this example, it's a double column. And then finally, the footer mimics the header in that it's a widget that goes across the entire page. This is the section that I see used probably the least. However, it's a good option to have. And again, you can use all 4 of these items or just some of them. You'll always need the navigation bar, but aside from that, you can customize to what'll work best with your course.
I have a question before we leave this.
Yeah.
Are you doing this in 100% D2L, or are you actually mixing in some other formats? They wanted us to use that, like for instance, simplicity would be one.
I mean, we use D2L to create our home pages. However, like some of the components that you have in your widgets might be created outside of D2L. For example, like if you have visuals that you create in Photoshop, or you can insert videos that are from YouTube. But all home pages themselves are constructed in D2L.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right, great. So I'll move on. So as I mentioned before with the body, how there are a few different ways that the body can be configured, I'm going to go over these. There are several different layout options, and there are 3 column options. So the single column is shown here. Basically, it would just be box on top of box on top of box. This is, yeah, Tom said it's not very exciting. It could be good for mobile users to an extent. However, if you have a ton of widgets, it may not be the best option for you. I haven't personally seen this layout used very frequently. The second option is a double column setup. So you can see we still have the header going across the top. However, the body is split into 2 equal columns. And this is the most common option that I've seen used. The way that these columns are laid out can be changed a little bit, and I'll show you that in a couple slides from now. The final option is a triple column setup. This is another one that I haven't seen used very often, as it can make your home page look pretty busy. However, depending on what you like to achieve on your home page, it might be something that works well for you. I haven't seen it used very often, though. Any questions before I move on?
No.
Okay, great. So this page kind of just shows you all the layouts that are available in D2L. And everything we do in a home page will operate within these boundaries. So you can see the first couple options are pretty basic. There's just one panel at the very top of this list, which would be that single column example that I showed you. The basic underneath that and basic plus I personally don't like, because I like to add a banner at the top of my home pages, and because it would split the top, I just don't personally like that layout. Underneath that, you'll see there's a large left panel, so that gives us the double column body, but the left side's a little bit bigger than the right. And then underneath that is the large right panel. So it's the same thing, it's a double column body. However, the right side's a little bit bigger on that. I personally like the large left panel the best, but depending on your preferences, you might like one of the other ones. Below that, we have the large middle panel. So that gives us our triple column layout with our body. However, the middle column is going to be the biggest. And then underneath that, we have 3 equal parts. Again, that's a triple column layout with 3 equal columns. And then the last one, which I think they should have put that with the large right and large left panels, but I guess it's in alphabetical order, is the 2 equal parts layout. And that makes your body 2 equal columns. Any questions before I move on from there?
Nope.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is show you some real-life examples. These are home pages from courses at Westchester University, and the faculty that created these gave us permission to use this in our presentation today. So here are 2 examples of a 2 equal panel layout. Now, one thing you can see that both bodies have the 2 columns. Both examples have the banner up at the top too. One thing that I like to point out is that the example on the left, which is Jeff Osgood's page, he uses shorter widgets, while the one on the right, Shannon Murkich, she actually puts more information into her widget, so it makes the widget longer. So that's something to consider if you want smaller boxes, one on top of the other going down, or if you just want longer columns on your home page. That's a good design thing to think about. The next 2 examples are also 2 equal panels. However, the thing that I like to point out here is that some programs have decided to use consistent components from course to course. So you can see these are both nutrition courses. The banner in each course has the same layout. It's just that the picture and the titles are different depending on what the course is. The other thing that they do is make sure the module pages are on the top left and the announcements are on the top right, which provides their students consistency again. But aside from that, they can do whatever they like on their homepage, and you can actually see in this example how personalities can differ from professor to professor with the rest of the layout. Okay, the next 2 examples I have for you are a large left panel design. Now you can see that these professors are highlighting the important information on the left side, and the other information, while still important, but maybe not something they need to look at right away, is on the right. On the example on the right, you can see this faculty member played with the colors of the headings for each widget. So she actually used that pink color instead of the purple, and it ties into the banner that she chose for this course. So that's another thing that you can consider. The widgets don't have to be just purple titles. You can change the colors to match what you want to convey in your course. And then 2 more large left panel examples. I like to highlight the different uses of widgets here. So the example on the left-hand side, which is a homepage by Michael Boyle, he uses the widgets to put all of the module information in from week to week. So you can see he has week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. This is an interesting way to set up his homepage. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing this for fall or spring courses since they run in 16 weeks. However, it's not a bad way to do it for winter summer courses. And as you move from week to week, like right now, week 1 is open automatically. You can change it so that in week 2, the week 2 widget is open and all the rest of them are closed. So that's an interesting way to just lay out the course. On the right-hand side, you'll see the news is very heavily on the left. News has since been changed to announcements, so it's called announcements, and you'll see that in the example that we do. And then the right side of the course, which is the smaller column, just links to course materials. The navigation bar on the example on the right is also smaller, so he just has course home and content up there since he doesn't use a lot of the other tools in this course. Okay, so any questions before I move on?
No.
Nope. Okay, great. So on to widgets. So widgets are what home pages are made up of. They're boxes, and yes, they do have to be squares or rectangles. One exercise that we encourage here, I think Tom actually thought of this one, is to, when you're planning your homepage, to write down the different sections onto Post-it notes, and then you can arrange them on a piece of paper to kind of figure out what layout you'd like best. So for example, I'd have a Post-it note that said banner, a Post-it note that said about your professor, maybe one that said announcements, and I can arrange those in the way that I like on the paper or on my table so that I know what I want to do once I get into D2L. And I'm going to show you how to create a widget in a couple minutes here. There are 2 different types of widgets. The first is a system widget. These ones are created by Brightspace D2L, so they're not something that, they just come with the program. They're not something that we can really edit on our own. It has to be through Brightspace D2L. They're in charge of those widgets. We actually don't use many system widgets here at Westchester University. The ones that we use the most are custom widgets. So these are created by either technical staff here at the university or faculty members. And you can just, like for example, you can see course modules, course updates, faculty student lounge. These are all custom widgets that were created. Some of them are created by the D2L office here on campus. There's a technical support widget that they create that you can add to your course. Sorry. So like that's one that wouldn't be, that you personally wouldn't be able to edit. However, it's custom because it was made by the university. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, but
Yeah.
you're going to do like a live example so I can see exactly how to use this?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And probably, maybe I already have.
Yep, and that's actually coming up now. So I'm going to go ahead and open up everything I need to share my screen with you.
Looking forward to go to the beach.
I wish it was a little bit warmer. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see I have the Westchester page up?
Yes.
I'm just going to sign into D2L.
Gentleman with two-tone hair.
All right, great. I'm going to open up my sandbox here. So you can see I have my sandbox open. The home page that I have up isn't very exciting. It's just the system homepage. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is how to create a widget. So there are a couple ways to get to the widget editing section. The first is if you click on this blue gear down here, and that takes you to the home pages page, but you can switch this over to widgets. The way that I like to go, which I don't know why because it's a little bit more complicated, I go through Course Admin, and you can see I have my course administration set up by category. So I just click on widgets here to get to the widget editor. Now here you can see it defaults to my custom widgets. One thing I like to point out is that any widget that has this little pencil symbol is one that you can edit. So that's one that you created, most likely. The ones that do not have that symbol were created most likely by the D2L office here on campus. If I tab over to System Widgets, you can see these are all the ones that were created by Brightspace, and we don't use a lot of these ones. So I'm going to go back to Custom Widgets, and I want to create a sample widget. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this Create a Widget button. And the first thing I want to do is name it. So I'll do About Your Facilitator for my title. And this is actually a little bit misleading because the description here doesn't do anything. Like, you might think intuitively that's where you should go to add your content of the widget that people would be able to see. However, that's not it. So I'm just going to, I just ignore that. Don't use this. And I'm going to go over to my content section. And I'm going to first add a picture of myself. So I'll click on this Insert Image button. And this tool page will be the same whenever you're in editing mode on D2L, whether it's a module page or a widget. I hit Upload, and I'm just going to grab my headshot. So once I have that, I'll just hit Add. I can put an alternative text. I'll just write my name for it. Okay, and then there's my picture in here. Underneath that, I'm just going to put my name, my contact, my title, and my contact information. Great. So once I'm ready, I can go ahead, save and close my widget. And you can see now under my custom widget list that About Your Facilitator widget is added. So you would create every single widget that you want to incorporate on your home page before actually building the home page. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, what you're saying is you have to, once you decide what your content is going to be, you build it all and then you assemble it at the end.
Correct. Yep. Correct. So you would do that with every single widget. Any more questions about creating widgets before I get into the homepage building aspect of it?
Does that include like modules, weekly modules? Everything is pre-built. If I want, normally, like if I was going to put together a module for a week,
right?
It's a 3-credit course. It's probably going to be about 3 to 4 lectures. So that all has to be pre-built and then loaded in.
Not necessarily. I mean, we can go back, like for example, if you wanted to link to your module page from the widget, we could always go back and edit the widget once it's on your home page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Great. So now that my widget is created, I'm going to go over to Home Pages, and I'm going to select Create Homepage here. I'm going to title this webinar example, and I'm going to ignore this description spot again. The type is always going to want to be widget based, and I do like to include the home page header. That's just the title of your course, so it doesn't bother me. I just leave that checked off. The most important part of this is deciding which layout you'd like to use. So I'm just going to select Change Layout, and you can see all the layouts that were on that previous slide that I showed you a little bit earlier are listed here. My favorite is large left panel, so I'm just going to select that and then click Update. So you can see it updated what's down here under that widgets heading to match the large left panel layout. and I have several Add Widgets buttons for each section. So I'm going to start with my header. I'm going to click on Add Widgets, and I just want my banner up here. So I'll check that off, then select Add. And one thing about the banner is I don't want the title to show, so let me go back. Sorry. I didn't save it. Sorry, I clicked on that and I didn't save it. Okay. So I'm adding my banner again. And I'm going to actually click on this widget now to get into the properties section of banner. I don't want to display the title bar for that one, so I'm just going to uncheck this option, and then I'll go back to hide properties to get back to the rest of my homepage. So that's my header. I'm cool with that. On the right side, I want to add the About Your Facilitator widget as well as the Technical Support widget. So I selected both of those. I'm just hitting Add. They're in the correct order. And then on the left side, I would like to put my course content widget as well as my announcements widget. So I'll just hit Add, and they come up in alphabetical order. I'm just going to click and drag course content to move that one to the top. So that's about what I want my homepage to look like, I'm pretty sure. So at this point, I'll just hit Save and Close. And I can see my webinar homepage is saved. I'm going to go back to Course Home, and it's still the old homepage because I missed one step. So let me go back into my homepages section. What I have to do is, after I create the homepage and save it, I have to make it active. So I'm under this active homepage dropdown. I'm just going to select my webinar homepage and then hit Apply. Now that I have that done, I'm going to go back to my course home, and you can see everything I wanted there is there. I got the banner at the top, my course content, and my About Your Facilitator Technical Support widgets. Going off about what you said with the like linking to your modules, if I wanted to edit my widget after it's on my homepage, I can simply, from my homepage, go to this Edit This Widget option, and then under Content, I can mess with the links again. So I could, sorry, let's add a module 6. I would just highlight the text, go to Insert Quick Link, and then I can go find the module page from my content there. And then save and close. And it updates the home page right away now that I've done that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is you have to have them, you know, in someplace in staging somewhere, and then when you create them, you can just create the link, really.
Right, exactly, yeah. So like, again, you could add all your widgets, and if you need to edit them later on, it's no problem. You can go back and do that, and it'll just update automatically. Okay, so that's all I have for building. Do you have any other questions for me, Stephen?
I have a website for my professional work. It's done, believe it or not, in GoDaddy.com, and there's some similarities that I can see already.
Gotcha.
I think what I did to do that is I actually did everything in Word and stored the docs where I could find them, and then I brought them in a piece at a time. This looks like it's something similar, but I'm going to have to learn the mechanisms of how to do that.
Yeah, it is pretty similar. Yeah, because it's basically just a website. I'm going to go back to sharing my PowerPoint. Okay, so again, that's all I have. Are there any other questions I can answer before I let you go?
You said you'd send us the link to the YouTube of the session.
Yes, I'll send you the link to our YouTube channel. And I'll also send you the link to our like best practices homepage document from our website.
Okay, you do have a doc though. You do have the
Yes.
hard copy. That would be great. Okay,
Yep.
that
Yeah.
that would be good, and then I can read them and get started hopefully.
Yeah, awesome. All right, great. Well, again, I'd like to thank you so much for coming today, Stephen. Um, if you need to contact me at all, if you have any questions that you think of after the session, you can reach me at my email, jdras@wcupa.edu, or at extension 3375. And also, we will be collaborating with the D2L office to present a similar presentation at their boot camp, which is in June. It's June 12th to 16th. So if that's something you're interested in, there'll be updates about that in the coming weeks, probably on D2L's website. Um, and then one other plug I like to make is that we do offer after-hours support. So myself and Lauren Campbell are the two online support specialists. We provide hours Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Fridays 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. And our support line is extension 3373.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.